And welcome to the Dark Side of Soul podcast. This is Joe.
This is Shawn.
I'd like to welcome you to, today. Just pointing out really quickly, we do have the Dark Side of Soul comic, Weird Tales from Korean Lore. It just recently got reviewed.
Who are the reviewers? They were the horror podcast. Everything horror podcast.
Everything horror podcast.
They got a beautiful site.
Note to everyone, don't get old.
Well, I hadn't heard of them, and I think I was like, "Oh, great, we got a review."
Oh.
We didn't. Yeah, I'd never heard of them.
You didn't send them a copy or anything?
No, I have no idea how they got the copy. Huh. I didn't send copies to anyone.
Huh.
Well, you thought I sent it? No, I didn't send because I was waiting.
I thought this was someone you. Okay, everyone, you're getting filled in on our discussions, our business discussions. It's like, oh.
I kind of, we reveal our business. On the podcast, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, that's cool.
we try to send out. I mean, we have this list of reviewers. We're slowly sending out reviewer copies. This is the way the system works. Mm-hmm. I've been on the other side of this when I worked for talk radio. As I would get copies of books. Usually the galleys. If people don't know what the galleys are, that's the work print of a book before it actually goes to print. So it's the page numbers aren't in there and all that stuff.
Right.
I still have a few. I have a few galleys right now on my bookshelf. Yeah. Anyway, Dark Side of Soul comic getting good reviews. And sales are doing well. You can get yours at darksideofsoul.com. While you're there, why don't you book a tour with us as well? We've been updating our tours. Not upgrading, updating. So even if you went on the tour, go on it again because you might get new stuff. In fact, today's topic might find its way on the tour. It might find its way. I found new stuff. There's some stuff that's already on the tour, and I found some new stuff. But also, I want to get all of our plugs out of the way. Go on our Facebook page, facebook.com/darksideofsoul. You can join our watch parties of horror films and maybe talk to Minji the Ghost in our chat messenger. Also, and Minji's been quite talkative lately. Also, if you've ever had a supernatural experience in Korea, please contact us. We are compiling all these stories into a new book coming down the way.
Yes, I got quite a few.
At through our Facebook or at info at darksideofsoul.com. That is, we do have an email address. You know what I like to do? One of my favorite podcasts, Star Wars Minute.
You told me about this. I still haven't listened to it. But
it's a weird when people think, it's just like 60 second. It's a 60-second podcast about Star Wars. No, it's the opposite. It is where they watch Star Wars 1 minute at a time, and each episode is about 60 seconds of a Star Wars movie.
It's amazing.
And it's amazing how much content they can, and it's just goofy stuff. It's just hilarious.
Years of content.
But yeah, they said that now they're going to be doing this to the end of time because they're including even like Solo and Rogue One. They're finishing up Rogue One now, and they're doing this in order of how they existed in the timeline.
Continuity. Okay, I see.
Hold on, I think no. They are doing it in release. They are doing it in release because they started with their original trilogy, then they did the prequels, which. They weren't sure if they wanted to do the prequels. Now they've done the prequels, and they've come out of it with a slightly better appreciation of the prequels because they really didn't want to do the prequels. Now they're kind of like, okay.
They're not that bad.
Yeah, they're doing Rogue One.
Right.
I think they're going to do Solo next before they're going to tackle the sequels. Because
I think it's fashionable to hate the prequels.
It's fashionable to just act like you're a better writer than people who do this professionally.
Yeah, it's fine to have an opinion, but I think there's a massive amount. I think it goes in both sides.
Yeah.
People hating and liking things. A lot of it's because of bandwagon jumping. There's hive mind mentality.
I agree with that
on both sides. So
I agree with that. I mean, I will listen to like people like Lindsay Ellis because she actually is a writer and she actually has like a master's of fine arts degree in film writing.
I started watching her videos. You introduced her videos. I introduced you to Chris from Comic Tropes.
He's good. He's good.
Love his videos.
And I've been really getting back into Lindsay Ellis. I have a tradition. I just watch one of her giant 30-minute essays every night. She's got a lot of good stuff. A lot of good content. I mean, she's changed my mind about a few things because most recent one was the Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I didn't see that.
One of the least popular of the Disney Renaissance movies, but she kind of changed my mind about it. About a lot of the reasons people don't like the movie are kind of silly reasons, and why there are good reasons to not like it, but the reasons that people like it changed the ending and things like that, and Victor Hugo himself changed the ending when he wrote it into an operetta.
Right.
Even the author of Hunchback, and he didn't even call it Hunchback of Notre Dame. That was the English translation of it was Hunchback.
Right.
He didn't even like that title.
I didn't watch that episode of hers because I haven't seen that movie. But does she give me this? Does she at least mention Lon Chaney?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I talked about how Lon Chaney did everything he could to portray Quasimodo, and how a lot of our concepts of Hunchback of Notre Dame come from the Lon Chaney movie and the 1940s version, rather than the book itself.
Yeah, that's with what's his name? Same guy who was in The Island of Dr. Moreau. Yeah,
it looked like a really good movie actually, and
oh yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah. It's a really amusing, and she's actually in Paris when she's doing this video.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah,
nice. Yeah. She
and,
didn't.
And her usual sarcastic, silly jokes.
Yeah. She didn't change my mind on Titanic, but that was a really good video.
Yeah,
good effort. A for effort. her video setups are excellent. They're really entertaining. So I thought she should have spoken more about the film language, and that may have changed my mind. But she tried to change my mind through the narrative of the story, and I was like, I don't know.
You're making you guys so bored talking about Lindsay Ellis. We just recently become Lindsay Ellis fans. I read her book she just came out with, Axioms, and sci-fi novel, and I really enjoyed it. And little things too about camera angle with her. If you notice, the camera's always looking down on her, usually looking down. That's another thing too. A lot of people suggest if you're in Zoom meetings, the best way to position your camera is slightly above you, and that's the way she does her videos. It's the opposite of an Orson Welles Citizen Kane camera position. I
have no consideration of my camera position. My microphone's covering my face right now. Actually, I'll put that down a little bit.
Okay. And the video is, if you become a patron, you can see our video version of the podcast and get extras. Lots of extras if you become a patron at patreon.com/soul, Dark Side of Soul, $5 a month. Starting at $5 a month, get lots and lots of extras. We're so generous. Anyway, let's get on with the topic. Even though I think we also have crushes on Lindsay Ellis now.
and Chris from Comic Tropes.
She talked to me on Twitter once.
I made a comment, just quick. I made a comment on the video. She talks about the Wicked Witch of the West. That's a really good video.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah. But at the beginning, she starts talking about the history of witchcraft in Europe and how it's informed our modern opinion.
You got triggered.
Well, I didn't get triggered. I hate that word. I don't get triggered. No, but she started like the history from kind of like the way she's talking about. It's kind of like from the middle to late Middle Ages, and it goes back to the early Middle Ages. So it predates. The problem with the witchcraft is authority and the church. That's where it started. Then it became the patriarchy.
Oh, okay. So you did a well actually comment.
Well, but I didn't start it with well actually.
Well, actually,
If I had glasses, I'd actually.
Actually, it was the early Middle Ages, not the early Middle Ages. So it was
Actually, it was the early part of the 5th century.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a big thing that I'm interested in, is the shifting of folklore and the attack on folklore by authority. That's why
Korea's a really good example of that.
Yeah, and that's why I put that scene in the comic book. So there you go. Another plug for the comic book.
All right. Now let's get to the meat of the show. We're going to talk about, our ghost tours themselves. We go to a few haunted places based on our research, and I thought, I've been every year I really try to update the tour, and I thought, well, why not turn my latest updates into a podcast? So I'm going to talk about 11 places in Seoul, mostly North Seoul. It's all in North Seoul, that are haunted or have some type of dark energy associated with it.
Yeah, and I haven't heard this list yet because we didn't review it together. Joe's just like, let's do this for the show. And I was like, good, sounds good. But I have a few things that I'll add too, because I've also just recently changed my tour, the extended version of my tour.
Yeah.
And the end of the regular version has changed. And I got a couple things I'll add. We visit a few places that are haunted.
Now, some of this I do talk about, like the first one, the Sejong Intersection. I'm gonna see. No, I'm going to add this to the map. I give a map at the end of I give a map to people who take the Dark Side tour, and I'll add this to the map. Sejong Intersection, Gwanghwamun, right outside Gwanghwamun Station. The big one. Whenever you see pictures of Seoul, the tourist photos of Seoul with the statue of Admiral Lee Sun-shin, that's the Sejong Intersection. It's the intersection of Sejongno and is it Jongno Gil? Is it Jongno? Jongno.
Jongno.
Duh.
Bell Street.
Yeah. And so they said that you can feel a lot of pressure if you look towards the north. If you're looking at the Admiral Yi statue, facing north, looking at Gyeongbokgung Palace, it's maybe because of the feng shui or something. There's a lot of spiritual energy coming from the north. I already say this on the tours that if you take a picture around there, you won't get a clear picture. It will kind of bend the light a little bit, especially at night, and especially if you use film. We've done this before on the tour. We've someone had a Polaroid camera and none of the pictures came out. But it's near one of the places where they did a lot of executions, so that's a lot of ghosts in that area. And they say that there are a lot of accidents that happen at this intersection, but they mostly come from the east-west road, not the north-south road. They get around 100 accidents a year, so around 2 a week. Usually happen.
I've seen accidents there.
Yeah.
Some people hit by cars there.
Yeah, and they say it's because the ghosts are kind of giving you they're blurring people's views when they go over, so they don't see the cars. And also, if you've ever been there, you also see it's a lot of lanes that are turning, and when people are turning, when there are lots of lanes, they tend to not stay in the lane while they're turning.
And there's a lot more cops there now directing traffic.
Yes, there are. There are.
Yeah, I haven't been there very much in the last few months, but I remember, there were a lot of traffic cops there, more than before. Yeah,
that is true. So that is one. We're going to do 11 of these. Okay, the second one, Gwanghwamun Bigak, the back alley. Now this is going a little east. So you're going to see that I'm following a little bit of a path here. This is right to the east of, in between Kyopo Bookstore, the building with Kyopo Bookstore, and the next building. I know that's the building with, what's the name of that building? It's the one with, it's the one with Polly's Pizza and Brooklyn Burger Joint.
Behind it. Yeah. What is it? That's that's the start of Pimakgol.
Yeah, it's the start of Pimakgol. And there used to be a stone bridge. Now there is like a miniature mock-up of a stone bridge there, if you look closely, but I don't think that's the one. There used to be a stone bridge 80 years ago, but it's been there longer than that, because during the Joseon period, that's where they executed people for public embezzlement and adultery by boiling them alive. And people say on rainy days, some people can see a prisoner with a sword around his neck. So that's behind Kyopo. Now going south, like right to the entrance of Cheonggyecheon, there's the Donga Ilbo building, which is the one that looks like a curved rainbow, right at the entrance to the Cheonggyecheon stream. Right behind that is this Seorin Hotel East Alley. Now behind that, you might see a narrow brown building, and that used to be the Seorin Hotel, which was a major hotel when Korea was modernizing. Involved in a lot of major events, but the hotel itself went bankrupt in 1992. But before that hotel was built, that was where the old gate was, where they would carry dead prisoners. I think if we talk to Robert Neff, he has a lot more information about this. But there was a special gate that you take the prisoners, take them technically out of the city, but they would take them through this gate. And so there's a lot of dark energy in this area because this is where the old gate was. So it's an alley. You will see, like, there is an alley between the Donga Ilbo building and this narrow brown building. And that's where this gate used to be. But right next to that, there's a building right next to that. You might might see a pharmacy there. It's known as Taehwagan Gomok. And the building that used to be there was the home. It was the home of Wanyang Lee, Lee Wanyang, who is considered one of the worst people in modern Korean history. One of the 8 Gyeongsul traitors. He was the guy who he was the Korean official when at the time he was Emperor Kojong refused to sign the treaty in 1910, handing Korea over to Japan. This guy did it in his stead.
That was the Protectorate Treaty?
The Protectorate Treaty. No, there's a 1905 treaty, and then there's a Protectorate.
That's 1905.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm talking about the 1910 treaty.
1910, okay.
Yeah.
The annexation.
He's just considered one of the most reviled characters. In fact, he's so reviled that he died actually in 1926. After he signed the treaty, he got super promoted up to like status of count by the Japanese authorities. Yeah. I don't know how many counts they had. They had 8 Gyeongsu.
1.
And so, but he didn't live very long after that. He died in 1926 and was buried. But after World War II and Korea was liberated, his body was exhumed and dismembered, which is considered the worst thing you can do in Confucian tradition.
That'll fix him. You'll see a lot. That happens a lot in the Joseon era. Yeah, well, the Min family in the early 1880s, pretty powerful family of aristocratic government protesters. All a lot of them anyway, were beheaded, and their remains were buried on the grounds that the U.S. government bought a year or so later.
Yeah.
And became the ambassador's house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is on the tour.
It's on the tour. Not on mine anymore, though. I've taken that off.
Oh, well, it's on mine.
My route's different. Yep. So go on Joe's tour if you want to see that.
It's mine.
Yeah.
If we can get past the security.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you go to this place, so if you look for, I'll tell you how it is. So if you found the narrow brown building that used to be the Seorin Hotel, there's a building right next to it, and that's where Lee Hwan-young's house used to be, and there's like a little alley in there, and they say there's the ghost of one of his servants, a 60-year-old man that hangs out there. And and on rainy days, if you go around there, you can hear people singing songs there. And that's funny because around there's a lot of eerie noises anyway, because it's such a weird area. Yeah. A little further north, around where we start my tour, Anguk-dong. We already go through a bunch of these alleys anyway in Anguk-dong. There are a lot of narrow alleys with old hanoks because it's one of the last areas to be developed. So it follows the old. It just there were a lot of slapdash roads because people just built houses where they could, and the paths in between end up becoming the roads. So there's still some very narrow alleys there. Now the court servants would be closer to the palace, and they would be next to much wider roads. But as you go further down the hierarchy, you get more cramped housing and narrower roads. And if you walk down those narrow roads, you can hear some male ghosts might call out to you and stick their heads up.
Hey, what are you doing?
Hey, you've done
what
that.
Are you doing?
Oh, come on. You
Just see
haven't
him
walked down the
standing over
street.
here.
You haven't walked down the street and you hear, ah, yeah. You keep thinking someone's yelling at you. That's happened.
Yeah, it's a ghost.
It's a ghost.
That's all. It's not the drunk ajushi.
Yeah.
It's a ghost.
Yeah. A little further south, and we go to do this on my tour. There's Tapgol Park, Pagoda Park. There's a little area behind it, and you might see there's a lot of people sitting on the ground drinking makgeolli, old guys sitting there playing baduk. Yeah, and this is kind of a dirty road. Now if you remember from our episode about my haunted apartment, one of the things that attracts ghosts is clutter, and it's kind of a cluttery area. But people say that's not the main reason that there are ghosts back there. They tend to be a lot of female ghosts in that area because that was around where the sex industry used to be really big there. There used to be a red light district, which we'll go into further. There was a red light district there, but also where Tapgol Park is now, that's where this because of the pagoda itself was part of a larger temple complex called Wongaksa.
Long time ago.
Yeah. And that temple was burned and it was abandoned for a few hundred years. And during that time, it became really overgrown with plants and one of the few lush places inside the main city. So since it was kind of like a public secret garden, if you're familiar with Midsummer Night's Dream, it's where couples would like to sneak off and do the deed. So it became known as a place as a very sexual place. And up into this day, it's kind of known as a place where there's a lot of sexual energy. But these days, it tends to be populated by old men looking to hook up with other old men. It's around Tapgol Park. But even more talking about the red light district. The red light district went further back behind Jongno Samga, Jongno 3ga. Right around that, just really follows the line of the subway station there. One specific area, if you go outside exits 10 and 11 and take one alley to the north, and I love wandering these areas. There's these, again, winding, narrow roads, lots of interesting love motels and bathhouses in this area. There's an area called street called area called Dansongsa, and it leads toward the secret garden in Jongmyo, right next to it. And there's a building with a bathhouse in the middle, and there are lots of ghosts of women who hang out there. maybe because they spent most of their lives there, or they met grisly ends in that area. So this whole alley in Jongno Samga. Now further east, if you're following your maps, you do have Jongmyo itself, Jongmyo Park, and there's a hanok behind the wall of a gas station. I think I know where this is. It's near the entrance to the Jongmyo parking lot, and there are benches there. Lots of elderly like to hang out there in the benches. I think it's a nice, charming park. A lot of people. I don't think people really go to it. A lot of tourists don't really go to it much.
Yeah, and that's weird because it's a UNESCO heritage site, Jongmyo.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's recognized by UNESCO as, with the ceremonies that are conducted there, as the oldest continually conducted ancestor worship ceremony in the world.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been to it once. Yeah.
Worth visiting.
Yeah. It happens in May, if I'm correct.
The ceremony? Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. I realized I hadn't really gone there much since my early years in Korea. And I went back there recently, and this is a lovely area. But there are if you go around the benches, if you sit in the benches, you will be surrounded by the ghosts of beggars. The reason is because of those rituals over at Jongmyo, and there are also a lot of other public events happen in Jongmyo. The beggars lived right across from it in Tukbang. And they would, when there were public events, they would venture over there, maybe camp out, build up some tents, and do the beggar thing while there. And so, again, since they spent much of their lives there, when they pass on, they still hang out in that area. So that's what happens. A little further to the northwest, if you're going to Cheonggyeonggung Palace, this kind of you might see this ugly fascist style building. It was built by the Japanese, and it was meant to upset the geomancy, the feng shui of the area, by creating some ugly fascist architecture. Just sully. Yeah. To do that. And so there's Seoul Medical University, and there's a morgue there as well. And right at I think it was the beginning of the Korean War invasions of Seoul, there were lots of wounded soldiers there, and the North was coming through, and they had to evacuate, but they couldn't bring the bedridden soldiers with them, so they were stuck there, and they were all shot in bed. And they were all thrown into a pit, buried in a mass grave. And 20 years after the war, the government built a white monument honoring them. And if you're near the monument while it's raining, you will hear young men shouting. Like that one. So you see this path we're going, and so now we're going to go a little more north towards Hyehwa. Right outside Hyehwa Exit 2, there's this lovely little park called Marronnier Park. In Korean, it's Marronnier. Marronnier. Well, that was Marronnier. Okay. It's a French name. They said that in this park, there used to be a 400-year-old Gingko tree that was a center of shamanic rituals. Now, as a side note, if you think about autumn and ginkgo trees, that must have been a really stinky tree in the autumn. So anyway, because so many rituals were centered around this tree, it absorbed a lot of the powers, the magic from that. And eventually this tree was removed, and when it was, its magic was passed on to 5 nearby trees. And since Hyehwa is this artistic area where it's Korea's Broadway, all these theaters are there. If you want to become a successful actor or writer, you go in the middle of these trees and you pray in the middle of these trees at night. If you want to become successful and try to get some of that magic that was transferred to those trees. And if the weather is nice, you might see the ghost of an actor or celebrity flying over a concert hall, but you can't be looking for it. It has to be like in your periphery vision. What you do is you stand next to one of those magic trees and you just look up at the sky, and you might see the ghost go by. It has to be on a nice clear day, a nice weather. But it's kind of funny. You always think of ghosts with nighttime.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, a lot of the lore says they only appear at night.
Yeah.
The Yaguangui is specifically established within lore under that pretense that ghosts only appear.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong when I was doing the research. Maybe when I heard the weather is nice, maybe I was assuming it was daytime. Maybe the weather is nice at night. That would make sense.
Right.
You know what? That would make sense. That would make sense.
It might be a more modern thing as well. So there's a shift in the general idea of what ghosts do, what they are, and how they appear. So
a lot of this is legend, and I just love hearing these legends. And like we always said, these legends, it's just more of we're pulling the curtain back on society, on the culture, and there's just windows into the culture. It's these stories. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The last one I have is the road in front of Chungsin Market. It goes around from Dongdaemun to Iwadong. So it's by Hyehwa Women's University. It's a very steep road. And back in the day, it was lined with the houses of shamans. And they say these days there are frequent traffic accidents, similar to the Sejong Intersection, because there are lots of shamans wandering around as ghosts. Now, where this traffic accidents are happening is on a road that originally was not there. It was built during urbanization, during modernization. And so the shamans used to hang out in these houses where they used to live, and those houses were torn down to make way for this road. So they're now just wandering the street. And they're causing accidents. There's also a hospital nearby because you can't be a university without a hospital in Korea. I think that's a rule almost.
Yeah, it seems.
Half joking. And so you got like people dying in a hospital along with these shaman ghosts. They might hook up. There might be a little bit of a mingling, maybe some networking going on there.
Spiritual networking.
So they say if you're a couple going on a date, don't go on that area. You could become possessed. Be careful. Or don't drive in that area if you're a couple.
Just don't go there.
Just don't go there.
Just avoid the area.
I never go there. I'm trying to think of where that. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I've never
been there.
Yeah, I don't think I've been to Jungshindong. I don't think I've ever been there.
Northeast Seoul is still an area that's kind of mysterious and unknown to me. Of course, we have good friends that live in that area. That's their stomping grounds. But for us, this is kind of not where we go. I
used to go there quite a bit. I used to go there like Hyehwa and stuff quite a bit in my first couple of years, but not really since then.
Hyehwa is a great area, but it's so difficult for me to get there. I rarely go.
Yeah.
And Dongdaemun as well. I really want to play more there. I mean, the Design Plaza is but
it's uninteresting.
No,
in almost every regard.
Areas around it, I kind of want to explore more because it's
Jongmyo. For everyone who's not sure, Jongmyo area and Dongdaemun, whatnot. Yeah, like those areas near. I'm trying to remember which station it is. I think it's closer to the Jongmyo or Dongdaemun digital. What is it? The
DGP.
Yeah. If you go to that station, I can't remember the gate.
The deflated beach ball.
Yeah. In that area, like those areas, there's so many interesting little alleys in all around that area.
If you go, an area I really want to go back to, and I'm using air quotes, discovered it. I mean, it's been there forever, but I'm doing the European conquistador thing, and I discovered it. Right across the street, there's a cool Russian neighborhood.
Yeah. Uzbeki. Mostly.
Yeah, Uzbek,
Yeah.
Russian stuff. I really want to go there and explore the restaurants and bars. It looks really fun.
I used to go there all the time. We should
Yeah.
hit it up when things cool down with COVID.
Things cool down and I'm drinking again. Yeah.
Oh, because they have Russian beers. It's real strong.
Oh, that number 9 beer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, dude.
Yep. That's the one we get. So go there, get some nice borscht and some of the bread and carrot salad and it's a bunch of the kebabs on giant stainless steel.
That carrot
pokers.
salad is actually an Uzbek Korean hybrid.
Yeah, that was because they couldn't get cabbage, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
was that
So it came from there's what's the word I'm looking for? There's a really good word, but a section of Koreans. Word I'm looking for that migrated to was now Uzbekistan a long time ago, and there is a Korean descended community there, and so you get like what is like Korean food, but it's not. It's different. So this carrot salad is
so good,
kind of the representative food of that culture.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's ethnic minority. It's a shame that it isn't promoted more for tourism. It's a great place to bring people, I think, or direct people to, because a lot of people go to Dongdaemun, but then they're missing out on all these cool little alleys. Like we talked about the Jungsin-dong and all these places in the north, like all around that area and a little bit more to the northeast. So much interesting. There's so many cool little interesting things. And there was a folklore flea market there that's protected now. Yeah. Sorry, not folklore. It's a folk flea market. And but it's been open for generations. It's been there for a very long time. And it's protected. Yeah, Ed and I used to go all the time.
We gotta go.
Sorak-san, who does our music, and I used to go quite a bit. So, flea markets, all that area.
All right, Dark Side field trip, everyone.
You're right. Yeah.
Go on our Facebook page, and if we get enough interest, we'll do a. When things cool down a bit, when things are safer, let's do a field trip down there, and let's go on a little pub crawl in that area. That sounds.
That'd be great. Go down for lunch first. And then walk around, go to the folk flea market. You can spend an hour in there easy, just walking around and enjoying it. It's a modern historic place. And then beat around a little bit more, go in a little coffee shop, have some coffee, and then go somewhere else for dinner. It's a great afternoon. We could just do like a nice little walk. We'll start at Hyehwa Station at the Marronnier Park and walk down towards Dongdaemun. Do you think that's too far? No, it's a long walk. But I mean, if you're doing it over the course of an afternoon, that's doable.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I've walked from Dongdaemun to Gwanghwamun along Cheonggyecheon.
But you've walked through Tibet.
Well, okay, but still. so anyway, it's a good walk.
Okay.
So
a good walk. I get nervous when Shawn says it's a good walk.
It's a fine stroll. Right.
Well, thank you. Okay, so that was 11 haunted spots in the Seoul area. Yeah. If you like this, give us comments. Give us a review, actually, on like Apple, iTunes, not iTunes, it's Apple Podcast now, or wherever you get your podcast, Stitcher, Spotify. Or tell us on our Facebook page if you like this type of show. We will do more of these. Also, just join our group on our patrons at patreon.com/darksideofseoul. We've become a pretty fun group. We recently got some new patrons. It's been fun.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Which means we make more stuff.
That's right. Yeah. Before we go, though, I got a couple of things to just add real quick.
To correct me. Yeah.
No, not at all. No, I didn't. All that stuff was mostly new to me.
Mostly new, mostly true.
Mostly new, yeah. True. But no, yeah. So on my new extended tour, the extended version of my tour, we stop in front of a place that's haunted, but not very well known to be haunted because this place is keeping it a secret. Apparently, the upper management believe that this place is haunted, but they don't want the word getting out. So if you I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to come on the tour. Okay. So you come on my extended tour as well. and I'll share that with you. And Joe mentioned Tapgol Park, how the places, those alleys behind Tapgol Park, where there's a lot of men there these days, where commoners have been going for centuries to hang out and drink and get away from it all.
Still
Tapgol Park.
It's a charming area. For me, from my type, it's charming. I find it very charming in a very dirty way.
Yeah, that street that's just right next to it. That short street that goes up to the subway station before you go in, like the turn off the Iksan-dong. I think that's a great little street. Good chimek. Yeah, it's a beautiful little street. It's lots of fun there. But Tapgol Park itself, according to some urban legends, the ghost of Yu Kwan-soon haunts that park. And Yu Kwan-soon was the 17-year-old woman who was monumental in helping the protests against Japan initially on March 1st, 1919, and then a month later on April 1st, where she helped organize uprisings closer to her hometown and surrounding villages in an area that's called Cheonan. A lot of legends surrounding her. They say, and she died in Sademun prison. Very likely she was beaten to death. And a lot of legends about her ghosts. And
but she's at the park because that's where the independence movement started. Yeah,
that's right. So she died in 1920, and that's 25 years before independence. Yeah. So she essentially died, under the thumb of the imperial Japanese government. So the colonial government, and so they say. A lot of the legends, they say if you go to Tapgol Park on the night of March 1st, so the anniversary of the uprising, the original uprising, you listen very carefully at the gate, because the gate is closed at night. You can't get into the park. You listen very carefully at the gate. You'll hear her ghost walking around the park saying, Daeheminguk Manse. Chosan Manse. Manse meaning kind of like it's hooray in English.
Yeah.
That nuance does... Yeah, the nuance doesn't translate, because hooray is more like I think it's more like a childish word, I think, the way we consider it today. So it does literally mean like manse is like, yes, hooray, huzzah.
Or maybe like the Australians, oi, oi, oi.
Right. But that nuance is very deep culturally, and it means a lot.
Yeah, manse just has a lot. Just the sound of that word.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're supposed to yell it. It's a word that's yelled to project its power. So they say, if you go to the park on the evenings of March 1st and listen at the gate, Yu Kwan-soon's ghost walks around the park saying that. It was basically she's meaning Korea liberation, liberate Korea forever, Korea liberation forever. So another park.
So it's Vive la France.
Vive la France. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so another haunted place. So there you go. A couple other places. We visit places on the tour that are allegedly haunted, but you got to join the tour.
At darksideofseoul.com.
Yes.
Also, we'd like to thank Sorak-san for our music. The theme of the show. You can get that over at Jeju. His name is Jeju Digital on Bandcamp. Yeah, Bandcamp.
That's right. Yeah. Just released a new track on our Patreon. I get it
confused with BandLab, but it's Bandcamp. BandLab is another company.
Okay.
We'd like to thank our top tier patrons, Angel Earl, Joel Bonamini, Jamie Staley, and Sharon Cullen. And also, remember to get our comic book at darksideofseoul.com. You can get it digital, or if you live in Korea, you can actually order the print version. We will mail it out to you. And also, if you have had any supernatural experiences in Korea, please contact us, info@darksideofseoul.com, or contact us through our Facebook at facebook.com/darksideofseoul. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. And I hope you stay safe out there and try not to become one of those ghosts.
Become a COVID ghost.
A COVID ghost. All right, everyone. Until next time, stay spooky.
Good night.